What better way to review Moza's new R21 Ultra wheelbase than with fresh hands? It's been nearly 2 years since I last touched a Moza base with any real power. Now I get to come back and see how far they've come in the meantime with one of their new premium bases. At £699 and rated at 21Nm peak torque, it appears to be strong value, it looks fresh, it seems neat, and I'm looking forward to seeing whether Moza has matured. Let's get going. Before we get into it, the R21 Ultra featured was provided by Moza free for review. However, this is a review, not an ad. Good and bad points will be covered as I see them, and all words are my own. Watch the whole video with pros and cons before making a decision. But if you do proceed to buy, then using the affiliate links in the video description to travel to Moza's regional sites and distributors will help support me and this channel to continue doing what I do, and thank you. As a result of both of those points, I do mark videos of this nature as paid promotion in YouTube. First up, a real quick summary of the main points. The R21 is among the best feeling wheelbases I've tried so far. Very smooth, quiet and serious. Moza's force feedback settings are easily moulded, one of the best brands for tuning feedback in an understandable way. The LED sidebars on the wheelbase are a novelty at best. You won't really see them from your seat. Overall, it's a really smooth, clear, sturdy and strong wheelbase which revises my opinion of Moza firmly upwards since my last encounter. At time of recording, the official price for the R21 Ultra you see here is £699 including UK tax. Its bigger brother, the R25 Ultra True Torque, is £899. Unfortunately, I don't have one to test to determine what True Torque is and whether it does anything to justify the added cost over this. We'll have to wait and see. For now, I perceive this as the newest, straight shooting, muscular wheelbase at the upper end of Moza's range, and boy did they need it because this looked stale when it was launched. High time to give things a rethink, and I think you'll agree that the cast aluminium chassis looks nice and neat. Installation onto my rig was simple. I've used the bottom mounts which follow the same bolt pattern as Fanatec, so you'll have no trouble fitting it on pretty much any cockpit. Side and front mounting is also possible if you so wished, though it may require additional brackets in certain cases. Switching the base on produces some convincingly clever lighting effects on the all new LED sidebars. It's just showing off really. Moza's pithouse software is looking good these days. Initiating the hardware was really simple. It was one thing I liked about Moza from the very beginning back in the day. Quite intuitive to get up and running with and not daunting for newcomers. So if you like software that basically unfolds as easily as a poppadom in a puddle, this is good for it. I'm just going to jump straight into driving. The last time I drove a Moza wheelbase with any power, the Moza R12, I remember how it felt. It was powerful and punchy with great force feedback tuning options that were genuinely useful, though I also remember a hint of crudeness in the way things felt, and the cubular R12 chassis was a bit of a lump, not very attractive in its own right. There wasn't much style or elegance about it. First impressions here though, brilliant, buttery, monstrously powerful and well put together with a hand feel that's crystal clear. This immediately feels like a tighter, competent, serious wheelbase than the R12 or R9 I had before. Now I know the R21 Ultra is much newer and more expensive than those, so it's exactly what I'd expect. But I'm not really talking about power here, I'm talking about the underlying tautness and sturdiness of it all, the construction, the way it comes across. It's also one of the smoothest wheelbases I've encountered so far. Considering I've spent the last 2 years reviewing the very best of Acertec, Simagic, Fanatec, even VRS, I have the equivalent of a mental litmus test ready to go. A gut feeling that I trust completely, more than any tech specs or marketing blurb. There are reviewers out there who will put these things through deep technical tests. I ain't one of them, I'm not one for hard data. You're just going to have to trust my gut on this. It's respectably solid and feels much more refined than the Moza I used to know. Though I do hold my hands up, it's been so long since I last ran a Moza base properly that my opinions may as well be of someone who's basically new to the brand. And if so, this is a great impression. One thing I always respected about Moza is the many levers you can pull in the force feedback settings in the pithouse software to very intuitively alter the whole character of force feedback easily. It's definitely possible to generate a solid variety of feedback temperaments until you find one that makes you think, bingo. I think it's easier here than it is on many other systems. The intensity slider in particular has a dramatic effect on things. Moza does give you more liberty than most over how you can make the wheelbase feel with its torque curve, feedback frequency equalizer, and numerous other settings that you don't often see elsewhere. But underneath it all is a solid and competent signal cleanser of some kind, whether it's a well-tuned algorithm or down to the brand new hardware that ensures refinement and smoothness without spoiling the instantaneousness of it all. Much like the Clusterbook DD Plus I just reviewed, it speaks clearly but smoothly. Le Mans Ultimate feels great, smooth as silk and yet tightly controlled and agile. On some wheelbases, the signals coming from LMU can be so raw and busy that it can feel like the force feedback equivalent of biscuit crumbs in your sleeping bag. But on the R21 Ultra, the grit is skimmed off almost entirely, yet leaving the underlying feedback itself unspoiled. They've done well here. iRacing is also super smooth and communicative, feels very direct and connected to what I'm driving, with a very short distance between what I want and what the car does. It's great. Just like LMU, iRacing feels among the cleanest and purest here that I've felt anywhere. You also have the option of LFE effects in the force feedback. That means engine vibration, gear changes, road texture. It can all be sprinkled into your wheelbase on top of the existing iRacing force feedback signal to put some vibrance into what you feel. You might not want to use it in order to keep your hands clean so you can listen more closely to the true feedback going on. But it's nice to have it from an entertainment perspective. It does add some spice to things in iRacing. Speaking of bells and whistles, those LED sidebars can be commanded via Pithouse to show various vectors of telemetry, be it revs, flags, spotter signals, you name it. However, just like Asetek's wheelbases, the usefulness of these LEDs is questionable and situational. You just cannot really see them from where you're sitting, and they're not bright enough to have any ambient impact either. They're not as bright as those found on Asetek's at least. Wheelbase companies are now so close to figuring out that if they have the capacity to include active lights in their wheelbases, maybe they should just skip integrating them into the body of a wheelbase and just produce eyebrows instead. Just a thought. You're not really going to see these unless you stick some tactical mirrors on your rig. Overall, I'm pretty taken with the R21 Ultra. The product is very strong, and so is the price. It's a great base for the money. But are there any negatives standing in the way? Well, in my opinion, I don't personally rate Moza as the most transparent or customer sensitive brands because I wasn't impressed with the way they handled reports of alleged credit card data breaches on their official sites earlier in 2025. I remember at the time it seemed like there was a new Reddit post almost every day for weeks with more user reports of fraudulent payments after using their credit card on the official Moza site. Moza initially released a statement essentially declaring everything was fine and denying these claims were true. Then the month following released a statement saying that they were suspending credit card payments on the site and moving to a new payment system, which is a good move, but the earlier denial made it all look a bit ridiculous. Breaches can happen to any site. It's a response that highlights the company's strengths and weaknesses, and in my opinion it took Moza too long to accept that the numerous reports were a genuine pattern and actually take actions to safeguard customers. Anyone who was watching this unfold at the time will also feel the same way, I'm sure. Now, I am cautious and careful to be accurate, especially in matters of reputation and trust, so I asked my Moza contact, the marketing specialist, to comment directly on this matter. My question was this. Earlier in 2025, there was an apparent security breach with the payment systems used by Moza's official sites, leading many customers to report fraudulent transactions afterwards. Moza initially denied there was an issue, but later suspended credit card payments and then switched payment providers. Does Moza now fully understand what happened? Are you confident in your measures to ensure the issue should not happen again? And their response was as follows. Earlier this year, we transitioned to a new payment system and migrated our official website to Shopify. The current payment solution is significantly more secure and reliable, ensuring that the type of issue that occurred previously cannot happen again. Now, if they have migrated to Shopify, which is basically the mother of all shopping platforms nowadays, then by most measures, whatever happened back then has no reason to happen now. Although Moza dealt with the issue in theory, to this day, if I was ordering from one of Moza's official sites in the US, UK, EU or global, I'd opt to use one of the alternative payment handlers such as PayPal, Shop or Google Pay at a checkout to just further protect your details, just for peace of mind. At the end of the day, you also have regional distributors to purchase from, so don't forget about that. They're listed in the description as well. Other than that, obviously there will be things I can't test. Durability, longevity. On those fronts you simply take your chance, but I can't see or feel anything obvious that might indicate future problems. It's got its act together as far as I can tell. Overall, I'm impressed with the R21 Ultra and I commend it. It's quiet, very smooth, feels very solidly assembled and designed. If I closed my eyes, I doubt I'd be able to tell the difference between this and the Fanatec ClubSport DD Plus, which I recently reviewed and raved about over its quality, feel and quiet strength. The R21 Ultra is legitimately well refined, well controlled, and renews Moza to me as now more serious, experienced and measured. It looks so much better than any of their wheelbases coming before it, and to me, feels better. A job well done for Moza, I think. A much more attractive upgrade for the R12 and R9 as such, and a neat endpoint overall. That's it. I hope that was interesting and helpful. Feel free to ask questions if you're unsure of something. If you made up your mind, then do proceed to buy. Using the links in the description helps support me. Much appreciated, and cheers again.